NFL history has been blessed with a pantheon of incredible running backs. Some were known for their speed, some were known for their power. But for a 5-year period from 2001 to 2005, one running back was known for one thing: total domination. They called him the Great, and with good reason. He put together one of the greatest 5-year stretches ever in the National Football League. I'm Steven Jackson, and in this episode of Legends, we look back at one of the forgotten superstars of the running back position. Seattle's touchdown scoring machine, Shaun Alexander. Shaun Edward Alexander was born August 30th, 1977, Florence, Kentucky. His parents divorced when he was 11, and Shaun and his brother Duran were raised by their mother. From a young age, it was clear that Shaun was a phenomenal athlete. He played baseball, basketball, and ran track. And of course, he played football. His final 2 years in high school, Shaun put up mind-blowing stats, rushing for more than 5,000 yards and scoring nearly 100 touchdowns. He won an array of awards, was named a Parade and USA Today All-American, and even had his number retired by Boone County High School before he graduated. Alexander the Great had his pick of college offers, but in the end, he chose Alabama over programs like Notre Dame and Michigan. The Alabama that Shaun attended is not the powerhouse that we know today, nor the powerhouse that was coached by Coach Bear Bryant of the colossal 60s and 70s version of the Tide. But after redshirting as a true freshman, Shaun got on the field for the Crimson Tide in 1996. For Shaun, the highlight of the year came on November 9th at LSU. Playing at LSU Stadium, he rushed for 291 yards and a 26-0 shutout of the number 11 team in the nation. That performance stands to this day as Alabama's single-game rushing record. The next few seasons at Alabama were marred by repeated NCAA violations. Despite the noise and dealing with several setbacks, Shaun would put up a senior year that would make him a Heisman Trophy hopeful. Shaun entered the 2000 NFL Draft as an accomplished runner, but he had company in his class, including Ron Dayne, who had just set the NCAA Division I career rushing record at Wisconsin. Still, he went in the top 20, with Seattle taking him number 18th overall in the first round. The Seahawks were coming off an AFC West championship in the first season under Mike Holmgren and had another legend, Ricky Watters, starting at running back. Shaun got a handful of carries per game as a rookie, but did get one start in a Week 5 against Kansas City. He promptly scored his first NFL touchdown. Entering the 2001 season, Shaun was again expected to fill a role behind Watters. But when Watters suffered a shoulder injury, it opened up the floodgates for Shaun to have one of the greatest 5-year runs ever in the NFL at the running back position. In just his second NFL start on October 7, 2001, Shaun handled 31 carries, rushed for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win over the Jaguars. A few weeks later, he threatened the NFL single-game rushing record, which had just been set in 2000 by Corey Dillon. Shaun carried 35 times against the Raiders on November 11th, running for 266 yards, just 12 shy of Dillon's record, and 3 touchdowns in Seattle's win over Oakland. Shaun finished 2001 season with 309 carries and 12 starts, rushing for 1,318 yards and the league's best 14 rushing touchdowns. Holmgren had also begun to use Shaun as a pass catcher. He had 44 catches with 343 more yards and 2 touchdowns. The 2002 season marked Seattle's first in the NFC, and Shaun first as a full-time starter. He took to the role rather smoothly, carrying a total of 295 times for 1,175 yards. He also caught 59 passes for 460 yards. He scored a total of 18 touchdowns, including 5 1/2 against the Vikings. In the seasons that followed, Seattle would lean on Shaun more and more, and they would be rewarded because he would take the franchise to new heights it had never seen before. By the time 2005 season rolled around, Shaun had already compiled 72 touchdowns in 5 seasons. But we hadn't seen anything yet. After a slow start in Week 1 loss to the Jaguars, Shaun began putting the league on notice. In Week 2, he ran for 144 yards. In Week 3, he ran for 4 touchdowns. In the 15 games that would follow, Shaun was scoring every game but one the rest of the season. His regular season numbers were eye-popping. A league-leading 370 carries for 1,880 yards, 27 rushing touchdowns, and a yards per carry average of over 5 yards a carry for the first time of his career. His 1,800 yards rushing in a single season ranked 9th all time. And with 28 rushing and receiving touchdowns, Shaun broke the record set by Priest Holmes in 2003. Honors followed. Shaun was named to his 3rd Pro Bowl in 2005. He was selected as a first-team AP All-Pro for the first time and was chosen as an NFL MVP, beating out Peyton Manning and Tom Brady when they both were in their prime. In the 2005 playoffs, Shaun racked up 100-plus yards, 2 touchdown performances against Carolina in the NFC Championship, propelled Seattle to the title game. In the Super Bowl, Alexander had 20 carries for 95 yards against Pittsburgh, but the Steelers won. Unfortunately, it would be the apex of Shaun's career. Over his final 3 seasons, he was plagued by injuries. Were Alexander's 430 total carries in 2005 to blame, or did he just hit a string of bad luck? Either way, in 2008, after being traded, Shaun's career ended in Washington, where he appeared in just 4 games. Today, few fans outside of Seattle remember what Shaun Alexander accomplished. To some extent, LaDainian Tomlinson is to blame. In 2006, LT eclipsed the record Shaun set the year before, scoring 31 rushing and receiving touchdowns in a single season, a record that stands to this day. And yet, Alexander's 5-year run from 2001 to 2005 ranks one of the best ever at the position in the history of the sport. During that span, Shaun Alexander carried the ball 1,748 times between the regular season and postseason, and caught it 188 more. In those 5 years, nearly 2,000 touches, he produced 9,171 all-purpose yards, an average of 5.25 yards per touch, and 103 touchdowns. Incredible. He finished 9-year career with 120 touchdowns, 11,589 all-purpose yards, including the playoffs. At his peak, Alexander was truly great, one of the best runners and touchdown scorers of all time, and without a doubt, a legend.